Shout out to Squarespace for sponsoring this video. Hello all, we have new iPads, yay! I'm sorry, I'm a little bit behind on the coverage because I took some time off, but we have the new M2 iPad Pros and the new iPad, normal iPad 10th gen, and I will say, holy smokes, this pink is pink. The colors are very punchy. If you're looking to buy an iPad right now, it's probably the most confusing it's ever been, and Apple has done a few questionable things that we're gonna talk about. So hi, hello, how are you? My name is Sara Dietschy, rhymes with Peachy. Welcome to another video. I hope that I can simplify this for you, and I'm just gonna go through all of my learnings and stream of consciousness feedback that I have from using all of these iPads throughout the years. As the video goes on, you might see this lovely iPad stand that can go down to a note-taking drawing angle, go all the way up. Well, this is my own stand that I made, Lab 22 stand. You can check out that link in the description below if you want to check it out. Okay, let's go through the prices and the iPads that we're covering today. So price low to high, we have the iPad 9th gen at $329, the new iPad 10th gen starting at $449, the iPad mini at $499, the iPad Air at $599, the new M2 iPad Pro 11-inch at $799, and then the M2 iPad Pro 12.9-inch at $1099. And of course, they get a little bit more expensive if you add cellular. We're gonna start with the new iPad, just the normal iPad. This is the 10th gen. It now looks more like the iPad Air. They pushed out the bezels. There's no more, button for Touch ID, but Touch ID has moved to the top. So we have a 10.9-inch display, and one of the biggest updates to this camera is, well, now we have a landscape selfie camera. So look, it's up here instead of on the side. Now, again, Ooh, look how wide that gets. That's actually crazy. So obviously the landscape camera is fantastic for Zooms and FaceTime because you'll actually be looking at them. It's not gonna be weird like, the camera's off to the side. It charges via USB-C now. Again, the new colors just really pop and they look great. It has 5G and Wi-Fi 6, and well, a lot of people have already expressed this frustration. But yeah, I really wish this landscape camera would have come to the new iPad Pros. The Pros still have the camera up here at top. It's like, what? I use my iPad Pro the majority of the time in landscape mode, right? Of course, they have the 2nd gen iPad pencil that snaps on the side, so you would maybe have to move the components on the inside a little bit to accommodate that camera, but come on. I believe in you, Apple. I feel like you could do it. And speaking of the Apple Pencil, the most controversial thing about the new 10th gen iPad is, well, it still uses the 1st gen Apple Pencil, and you can't even charge the 1st gen Apple Pencil out the box because, well, it's a lightning connector and you're trying to put that in a USB-C, doesn't work. You need a dongle. That was such a stupid way to charge the Apple Pencil to begin with, but at least you could. This is the new Magic Keyboard Folio. I definitely have some thoughts about this. I'm not the biggest fan. Slides around. That's weird. Wow, that's not, wait, is this right? Weird, nothing about this feels right. I love the soft material that Apple uses for its, Magic keyboards. And the white color doesn't smudge as easily as the black version, of course. I don't know if you can tell, but see, super, super smudgy. But the thing that I don't like most about this Magic Keyboard Folio, that reminder, is only compatible with the new iPad. You can't use this for the Air because it's just different connectors, is it's just flimsy. Like, one, the connection isn't super strong. I guess you want to be able to snap off the keyboard, right? But it rarely lines up perfectly with the iPad screen that I find, and it's just kind of flimsy. I would like the Microsoft Surface-like kickstand design better if it actually went down farther for people who draw. That would actually be super great, right? But it doesn't go down farther than this. That's what I would really like this design for, but I do have a couple nice things to say about it. The keyboard is actually really great. The action feels good, and there's an entire row of function keys here. That's something that you don't even get with the Magic Keyboard. That is the accessory for the Pros and the Air. Function row, no function row. The Magic Keyboard Folio for iPad also has a bigger trackpad, which is super nice. But okay, so here's the weird thing. So the new iPad, the normal iPad, that is the lowest price iPad at $429. If you ignore the 9th gen, that's still at $329. But you have the cheapest iPad, and this Magic Keyboard Folio case is $250. The same price as the Pro Magic Keyboard, that's a little bit fancier because it floats, right? And it's so pretty. And I understand the Pro crowd, buying a Magic Keyboard for $250, but I don't understand the $429 iPad crowd going for this Folio case that is also $250, more than half the price of the actual iPad. That is kind of like, okay, it's okay. So not only is this new 10th gen iPad just kind of quirky on its own, but the accessories don't really make a ton of sense, and it's probably more confusing than ever for someone who wants to buy accessories for their iPad. So if you're considering the new 10th gen iPad and you need a case for it, I would consider the Logitech one, because not only does the kickstand go all the way back for the people who want to draw or note take, that makes much more sense. It also has a more protective layer because it actually covers the side of your iPad. Of course, it doesn't look as cool as the Apple accessories, but all around it's just greater value. And again, much more affordable. And the Logitech cases can also hold the 1st gen Apple pencils, because remember, 1st gen Apple pencils don't magnetically snap on the side of your iPad. So the Air and the normal iPad, they look almost identical from the outside, but I will say the Air now makes sense. Like, the actual name Air makes sense because it is lighter and it is thinner than the normal iPad, so there's that. So yeah, kind of a weird iPad, I don't know. Education always had a good reason for buying the 9th gen iPads in bulk, right? That $329 price is great. Also, your grandma who only understands pressing a physical button to go home, right, loves the 9th gen iPad. That's kind of the crowd who are buying those. That demographic really has no reason to upgrade from the 9th gen iPad to the 10th gen iPad, outside of a processor update from the A13 to A14, some camera updates, you now have center stage for FaceTimes. The camera gets a little bit of a megapixel jump from 8 to 12. Of course, you have that landscape selfie cam now and a bigger screen with pushing the bezels out. You no longer have that home button, so, swipe up to go home and all the swipe features. Touch ID is still on the iPad, but it's up at the top now instead of the button at the bottom. So yeah, listen, in 2022, with this iPad 10th gen, with the iPad 10th gen coming in at $429 and the starting storage still being at 64 gigs, I really don't think it makes much sense for anyone. Apple's still selling the 9th gen iPad at $329, but the iPad 10th gen will be a great value in 2 years when the price hopefully gets bumped down to that $329 or below that $400 mark. But right now it just doesn't. Fun colors, new modern design like the Air and the Pro, great. But right now I honestly wouldn't recommend this iPad to anyone. You also have to consider some of those new updates that we're getting in iPadOS 16.2, like full external display support. That is only available for the M series processors. So you might as well bump up to the M1 iPad Air to have full access to software features like that. Let's continue with the quirky iPads. The iPad mini. Some people love this, some people hate this iPad. It really is just so cute. Look how cute it is. For me, the iPad mini overlapped too much with how I use my iPhone. And in most cases, I just rather use my iPhone. I enjoy keeping my phone on my Lab 22 phone stand, and it's easy to field messages, Slack, social media when I'm working at my PC. This smaller screen really is great for portability, but I just don't find it as enticing to use for proper iPad tasks as my 11-inch iPad Pro. I imagine you see this device as great for casual scrolling, surfing the web, and social media, but it really isn't. If you're at all observant about tech, the jelly scroll issue on this display is really bad. It's not just like a gimmick that people used for clickbait for YouTube videos. it's very distracting. When you're scrolling a web page, your eye can actually tell that the page isn't uniformly, like, is that a word, uniformly loading from left to right, hence the jelly scroll. But hey, I know a lot of people love this super cute iPad mini. I mean, look, you can hold it with one hand. Pilots love it, students love it. It's a super comfortable size when stacked with books. It is also compatible with the 2nd gen Apple Pencil, so it's great to jot down notes in apps like OneNote or Notability, and it's also like the same exact size as a Moleskine notebook, so it kind of feels like that. I can throw it in my purse, you can just walk around with it super easily. So even though the mini isn't personally for me, I know it serves, a cool niche market. Sitting at $499 for the 64 gig model, I would rather spend an extra $100 and get the 64 gig model of the iPad Air. You obviously get that display size, bump size, but you also get a better processor for creative tasks like photo and video editing, and better keyboard accessories to choose from that we've already talked about a ton. And well, no jelly scrolling. Now we need to get into the new iPad Pros because, well, I'm finally upgrading my personal 11-inch iPad, woo! But before, just a quick word from our sponsor, Squarespace. I personally use Squarespace for my creative portfolio website, sarad.com. It is super easy to display my work in a beautiful way and get clients. Also, if you run a e-commerce business, they have the most amazing tools to help you do exactly that. You guys know by now they have amazing templates, and it's so easy to just spin up not only a website, but hey, a new page. Like I wanted to sell some used gear, so we opened up Sara's used shop, and hey, I have so far collected enough money to buy some new lenses, and I'm so excited about that. Should I post yet another camera setup video? You guys are probably very bored with that, but hey, in my last video, I talked about the no-code movement and how there are so many amazing tools now to build apps, web apps, just by using some really cool software that is out there. Well, Squarespace just made a huge announcement about a refresh of the entire Squarespace platform that is kind of reminiscent of some of the no-codey things that we talked about in the last video. So I have it pulled up here, and we're just gonna go through a few of the new features. There are so many ways to monetize video using Squarespace now. So not only can you add like a membership where people can pay a monthly fee to access paywalled content, but you can also pay per piece of content, like if you want to post a video course. Okay, now this is what I'm most excited about. So they call it their fluid engine. So now you're not limited to put certain blocks of content in specific places that like a template requires you of. Now, as you can see, you can put whatever you want anywhere. Photos, text, email blocks. You can literally just drag and drop wherever you want it. Oh my gosh, that is going to lend to so much flexibility to allow you to just build your website in whatever way you want. So they have the amazing templates to start out, you get up and running, and if you want to tweak things here or there, or honestly just start from scratch, this is going to allow you to do it. And that's not it. There are so many things to cover, but hey, we'll cover them in the next Squarespace sponsored video. I am just so excited for this because, well, my own website is a Squarespace website, and this just lends to so many ideas. If you want to try it for yourself, hey, check out the free trial on squarespace.com, or you can get started today. You can go to squarespace.com/saradietschy and get 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Check out that link in the description below, and we'll back to the iPads. Okay, so now it is time to talk about the brand new iPad Pros. From the outside, they look exactly the same. They have the new M2 chip, which is very exciting. So from here on out, I'm just gonna call the new M2 iPad Pros the 2022 iPad Pros. Okay, so what is the advantage of buying a new iPad Pro opposed to the 2021, or what this is, the 2020 iPad Pro with the A12Z? Because I've been using the 2020 iPad Pro for years, and never once have I been like, wow, I need more power. Yet I did update to the new 2022 2022. So with some of the new features, with the 2nd gen Apple Pencil, now the new iPad Pros have this thing called Hover. So this is really handy if you want to preview brush textures and sizes in Procreate, or just see a preview of the Apple Pencil's position on screen with this small dot. Ooh, and even when I'm floating around to the different apps, you can see them kind of enlarge. Do you want to click that app? What about this app? And if you use Scribble to convert handwriting to text with Hover, you can see that the iMessage text box expands with my pencil. The new iPad Pros also have ProRes video recording, not natively in the camera app, which is interesting, but you can use an app like Filmic Pro. All models support Wi-Fi 6E, and if you get the new 12.9-inch iPad Pro, it still has the brighter and more contrasty mini LED display from last year's 12.9 iPad Pro. However, Apple still didn't update the 11-inch with mini LED, which is a huge miss in my book because I would love that, but I am not going to buy a 12.9-inch iPad Pro just for that feature. I mean, those iPads are huge, and I'm not a digital artist, so I don't need that extra real estate. This fancier liquid Retina XDR display can go up to 1000 nits brightness, opposed to the 600 nits on the 11-inch iPad Pro, and then 1600 nits with HDR content, which is actually just crazy bright. Both Pro models have had ProMotion displays for a while, but that still is a Pro only feature. The iPad Air does not have that. The 120 Hz is really smooth for drawing, note-taking, gaming, and honestly, just everyday things like scrolling in apps. And then of course it has incrementally more power with the M2 processor, but up until now, I have had no reason to upgrade from the A12Z in my 2020 iPad Pro to the new iPad Pro. So why did I finally upgrade my personal iPad Pro to this 2022 version? The sole reason is because DaVinci Resolve. For the first time ever, we are going to get a desktop level video editing app, the one that I also use, thank goodness, which is kind of crazy if you think about Resolve coming to iPad before Apple's video editing program, Final Cut. But anyways, this is actually going to make the iPad for a lot of creatives an actually viable option to be a real computer. It'll still have its quirks here and there, and honestly, if you put me on an island and said iPad or MacBook, I would still go with the MacBook, but still, this is what we have been waiting for, because who knows, after this, we might see again Final Cut, maybe Logic for music producers. It's very exciting. So I just wanted the max power possible to test out that program, and I actually just got the link to try out the beta. So I will be posting a video of this right after this one if you want to make sure that you're subscribed down there below. So if you want the top of the top, you want all the cores, you want all the software features, not just from iPad OS, but from this professional level software that we're going to see, then yeah, the iPad Pro is for you. But hey, we can't end this video without having some dedicated time to talk about the iPad Air. I've already mentioned it a few times, but as I reflect on how I've used my 2020 iPad Pro over the years, I probably would have been just fine with the iPad Air when I think about it. Yes, I would have missed the ProMotion display in the Pro that is also a little brighter, but that's about it. I rarely use the extra ultra wide camera and the LiDAR sensor on the back. That is more of a nice to have, I would say. It makes me feel better that I have it just in case, but do I actually use it? Not that much. I feel like I have this weird fantasy of becoming an interior designer and using all of this fancy AR design apps, but honestly, the truth is a lot of those apps, not all, but a lot of them don't even require the LiDAR sensor. The iPad Air is also compatible with all of those Pro accessories that we talked about in the beginning of the video, the $250 Magic Keyboard and the $179 Smart Keyboard Folio. I actually use the Smart Keyboard Folio much more. I hate the smudges, but it's just way more practical for me. And if I'm being honest, I really hate the Magic Keyboard. When you add this to your iPad, it makes the setup so extremely heavy. I feel like they should just throw an extra battery in it anyways to help the iPad's biggest weakness over the MacBook, battery life. I usually default to the Folio because, well, it doesn't suck battery life from your iPad and it's just much lighter. Also in my testing, I found that the iPad Air actually has the best standby battery. I hate picking up my iPad 1 or 2 days later and just the battery drain is so crazy, especially if you use the Apple Pencil on it. Okay, so let's wrap things up. iPads in terms of hardware have been really good for a very long time, even if Apple does goofy things every now and then, like, you know, with the new just normal iPad 10th gen. If you need a tablet to just browse the web and watch Netflix, of course, there's a ton of options out there outside of iPads that are cheaper. But where the iPad really thrives is, well, not just doing that, but also going into creative applications, using the pencil to write notes, to draw, to edit photos, and soon to edit videos. And of course, we've had LumaFusion, but I just never could make LumaFusion work. I am just, again, super excited for DaVinci Resolve. And also not to mention the amazing library of apps that you have in the Apple App Store. That makes the ecosystem really great. And also if you have an iPhone, again, the things I don't even need to mention, like AirDrop and messages, you get it, right? So I feel like the thing that we've been waiting for a long time is kind of this gap for creative professionals. We've still been waiting for full desktop-like experiences on the iPad. And Apple for a long time has just resisted it. Maybe it was to protect the MacBook line, or maybe, gosh darn it, it's just because they wanted you to use an iPad like an iPad, which I totally understand. But that line has become very blurry ever since the release of the Magic Keyboard and mouse support. People are using iPads like computers now. So even though the iPad lineup is honestly weirder than ever, it really is, I'm excited for this next chapter because DaVinci Resolve coming to iPad is a big deal. So I'm just hoping there's not a ton of compromises when you bring it from a laptop, a computer, to the iPad. However, I also hope that developers remember that this is still an iPad. So when I need to mask something out in DaVinci Resolve, I hope that I can use my Apple Pencil, right? I hope that it's unique to the iPad experience. So let me know what you think about these iPads. Are you looking to upgrade this year? Are you looking to make your first iPad purchase? And hey, do you need a beautiful iPad stand? Lab22, check out my link in the description below. I'm hoping that we get some upgrades with the Pro keyboard accessories from Apple in the next 1 or 2 years. I would love to see that function row on the Magic Keyboard. And then maybe they'll just make this keyboard better at some point. It's weird. Don't buy this one. Make sure you hang around to see DaVinci Resolve on the new 2022 iPad Pro. And hey, smash that like button, hit that subscribe button down below for new videos every single week. And well, I think there's nothing left to say but to stay peachy. Check out my Squarespace link in the description below, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, bye.